So then finally, last but not least, we had the adjustment domain. And in this unit, what do we talk about? Oh, go back to the previous slide. Yeah. Well, what did we talk about during that? The adjustment unit.
How people cope with stress.
Yeah, it was basically about health, right? And what else was the last thing we just finished talking about? How people cope with stress. Disorders, right? We spent the last couple of classes talking about personality disorders. So, yeah, personality does definitely play a big role in how we deal with stressors. We talked about these prevailing personality types. So you all should know what type A versus type B is by now. Remember, type A are the people that are really tightly wound, and they are more likely to suffer from heart disease.
Workaholics.
Oh yeah, yeah. We mentioned the workaholics too, which personality disorder?
Type A.
Well, that's the personality type, but which disorder of people are called workaholics often? Do you remember?
Was it the narcissism?
No, it's not narcissistic personality.
Was it the high mark? Was it? Because they're the one that want to steal and.
What's that?
Schizoid or paranoid?
No, it wasn't schizoid. It was actually obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. Those are the workaholics. Make sure you got that one down for our final exam, too. You'll need to know a lot about that chapter. A lot of questions came from that one. There's probably going to be a continued focus on health outcomes. And there are some practical reasons behind this, too, in that it's a bit easier to get funding for health-related research than it is for basic research sometimes. I mean, you can get funding for different types of things, but the government likes to fund things that can potentially have clear applications and actually help people be more healthy. And I'm actually planning some research myself that examines how people's fundamental motives, like their mating motives, might relate to their health behaviors, a whole different range of health behaviors. So depending on someone's personality, they might be more or less likely to exercise regularly. We talked about how shy women might be at special risk for different types of negative health outcomes. So they're more likely to have unprotected sex and less likely to go to a gynecologist on a regular basis. Yeah. So that's the type of thing they're going to continue looking at most likely. One change that we're seeing in this domain, as well as in other areas of psychology, is that there's this shift toward looking at more positive emotions. So this is called the positive psychology movement. And I believe Martin Seligman and colleagues are really driving a lot of this, or at least started the movement. And so to some extent this role of positive emotions might impact the way that we understand and treat disorders. And it can also be important to how people deal with stress. So we talked about incorporating positive emotions when dealing with stress. So trying to view things in a positive way rather than just focusing on the negatives. And throughout the history of psychology, there has been this more negative focus because of the fact that bad things get our attention. So personality disorders have been viewed as the presence of something bad rather than the absence of something good. So just that slight shift in perspective can be pretty important for research outcomes. Another big thing that's coming up as far as future developments are concerned is the DSM-5. So for a while we've been on the DSM-4. That was that. What was the DSM?
The manual.
Yeah. The manual that clinical psychologists use, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. And they're working on revising that. In 2013, May they're supposed to release the new version, so it'll be interesting to see what they change in that, because that has a big impact throughout the field. And finally, as I mentioned the other day, there are some really intriguing new statistical techniques that can be used in order to better understand the nature of personality disorders and even basic personality traits. So we discussed that distinction between dimensional and categorical perspectives on disorder. So what was the dimensional perspective? Did you have a question?
Yeah. Who puts together the DSM and publishing?
There's a large group of people who work on that, professional, mainly clinical psychologists who collaborate to publish that. It's definitely a large-scale effort. So what was the dimensional view on traits? Anybody remember this one? The dimensional view on disorders?
Everybody has the same traits. It's just a difference in how they're expressed.
Yeah, exactly. So some people, everybody has similar levels of traits, but some people are at the extremes, whether it's an extremely high level of some trait or an extremely low level. And once you get to those extremes, then you start to get into disorder territory. And then what was the categorical perspective that was in contrast to that? Yeah, you either have it or you don't. So if somebody has a disorder, there's something that's present in them that is not in the normal, healthy population. Yeah. All right. And so, like I said, there are these really neat techniques that can be used to actually get a better understanding of the nature of those traits and disorders. So, any questions about this? All right. So, we are actually done for the day and pretty much done for the semester. So, congratulations on being almost done.